Today we take some time first for the two reminders which are normally as part of the sesshin, a sesshin reminder. But this time I want to give these reminders which are so basic and which anybody, if you are totally new or very long on the path, if you can work with it, if you take it to heart, then it will become a very decisive help. The first reminder has to do with what I have in a certain way, without even knowing that it has to do with spirituality or it has to do with some deeper inner work. I was at a certain stage in my life when I was still not yet in connection with any alive masters, just maybe through the different background connections and all. I came to this understanding that when I don't hold to an idea of I, me, mine, when I can consciously notice it and let it go, I feel inwardly clear and I'm able to see and connect to life in a direct and deep way. Before I give these reminders, I want to also mention one thing which will be especially valuable for those who are starting with something like this new. The human reality is very paradoxical. At first, the child comes to the world without any particular idea, with any particular identity. It is more vulnerable, open, innocent. But to be able to play in the game of the world, to be in the society, be able to interact, the child needs to get into an identity, to an idea that I am so and so. It has to get identified with the body, it has to get identified with the personality. And it all goes almost unconsciously. That what is in the beginning a help and necessity, it also becomes a barrier, because this very unconscious identification with the mind, with the personality, makes us incapable to realize that life is more, life is different, that things are not the way it appears to us, that our reality is more mysterious, that our reality is experienceable only when we learn to directly connect to it. But this is the part which is not normally understood, not taught in the schools, not taught at home often, and everybody is getting the roles, everybody is pushed into this identity, and everybody comes to believe more or less unconsciously to the idea that I am so and so, this body, this personality. So that what is in the beginning a necessity and a help, if we get unconsciously and automatically trapped in it, it keeps us in a one-dimensional way of perceiving reality. And the reality is not one-dimensional, the reality is multidimensional. That is why everyone during the course of the life, especially when they have become capable to develop their consciousness, needs some support, needs to be reminded, needs some way or other to confront the normal idea of the I, me and mine and understand ways to go beyond this identification, to connect directly and deeply to the reality. Because that is what gives one the freedom, the clarity, and the right basis to be in the game of the world. And one can say the game of the world only when one can go beyond it and see it from the right distance. And also the word game is used only to say that it is like a game, because all the values what we have are relative, all the standards, all the goals, they are all very relative. And the fact that we come without anything and we have to live without anything. Everyone who is born has to die. So when this awareness is not yet brought in a deeper way into consideration, we get more like in a state of addiction to what is called our identity, our personality, and the automatic reaction program, what is going on with it. We call it in a certain problematic way the ego, but the ego is at first a necessity, and in the later process something which one has to see clearly its possibility and limitation and learn to go beyond, so that one can answer to life, one can connect to the reality, one can live peacefully and yet be participating in the ups and downs of the life without getting lost in it. Being able to come back home, recognize the deeper foundation of one's reality, and with that awareness of the wonder, awareness of the blessedness, live joyously. So that is why these two reminders which I want to give in this context can be so deeply valuable for anybody who takes it to heart and begins to apply with and work with it. I'm saying it like that because there are many times things said, but often it is not taken in the right intensity, in the right spirit. If one just does it by the side, it will not reach you, it will not affect, it will not help you, it will not become a clearing process for you. So you have to look, are you ready to take it and work with it wholeheartedly? Are you having this as a priority to go deep and understand life and understand yourself? Or is it just by the way you do a little thing like this and play around? Of course, it's left to you. But I'm addressing those who really want to understand and go deep, because for others it will be more like just wasting their time. They don't have then the right understanding to use this orientation, use this experiment, use this remembrance in the right way. So only when you can see that it is your innermost decision which is making the difference. If you are ready to look into it, to work with it wholeheartedly, with your whole energy, then it can be very deeply significant for you, because it will give you a different basis beyond the entanglement in the game of the duality. Coming home and living in the world but be not lost in the world. And this is one of the very beautiful expressions in the Zen tradition, which is often not heard in other backgrounds, because there are different emphasis given. But in Zen, there is no antagonism to the world. It is not as if the world is something one has to renounce. And there are few deeper teachings which is not belonging to any particular tradition which are making it visible like that, because in the earlier way of following traditions, going with the rituals, managing certain kind of little distance was sufficient to continue. But now you can see that we are in a very decisive turning point, individually and globally. And the individual and global reality is not separate. When people want to do some global supportive measures, they have to bring attention to themselves and understand their nature, their reality in a very direct and deep way. That is why in this period, those who take the initiative wholeheartedly, they are not only doing something for themselves, it is also enabling the global process of the possible development. Make it really possible. Because with the unconscious and blind way of going, there is all the chance that humanity can destroy itself and destroy the basis, which is our earth, which is the whole natural foundation. Of course, I again and again remind everybody that there is some deeper factor involved in all this, and there is a support, but the deeper factor is not forcing anything. It gives every human being the chance, the freedom, the respect to decide for oneself, and with that also to decide for the further development in the world. So understand it very carefully. It is something very basic. So the first reminder, both reminders are very much interconnected. The first reminder is about questioning what idea of I, me or mine is working in me undercurrently. Feel the energy where the idea of the I is taking place in you. Bring attention. And just don't hold to it. Don't hold to an idea of the I, because when you don't hold to the idea of the I, you can relax into your true self. That is a sense behind it. I have been also giving a meditation technique with the similar orientation, with the same emphasis, called inner letting go. Some of you who have been doing it and participating can understand it. But I want to bring this into your day-to-day living, because it's not enough when you once in a while do a certain meditation exercise. It has to become part of a deepening process in your day-to-day life. That is why I'm bringing it in this way. Take at least 5 times a day, some moments, whenever you find a gap, whenever you find some possibility. Maybe after you wake up, or after you have taken a shower, or after you have gone to the bathroom and have a little time, or before you begin to eat or drink, before you go into some activity, if you can take these moments just to consciously, inwardly let go of every idea of I, me, mine, and allow yourself to come consciously to the moment, to the beingness. 5 times a day at least. You can do it more, but 5 times a day will be very, very valuable. So this is the first reminder to bring into day-to-day living. And the second reminder has to do with the undercurrent judgment which we are used to going about in life. In every interaction, if you have observed, even if you are not meeting anybody directly, but just seeing somebody, listening to somebody in the street, hearing something, there's always undercurrently some kind of judgment, mostly unconsciously going on. So bring attention to the judgment and the factors which are connected with the judgment in you. It's not only that you find yourself judging, but the factors which are connected with you undercurrently, your intentions, your desires, your longings, your calculations, your fears, your clinging. So bring attention to all what is working in you, because this will also be very complementary to be able to go deeper into the first reminder. So that's why I say they are very supportive, very complementary, going in the same direction. This also bring deliberately the attention at least 5 to 7 times during the day. More is fine. And there are so many occasions you will come across in the day-to-day life. When you meet somebody, when you are telephoning with somebody, when you are having just even walking through the street, seeing someone, you may not have any direct contact with the person, but your mind is working. Some projections are going on. And this unconscious identification with this projection is your trap. So, bringing attention to these undercurrent factors, becoming aware of the automatic judgment which is going on and not holding to it blindly, not identifying with it blindly. Just notice these judgments. So this way you will find that something very deep is becoming possible, and that very deep is the possibility to come home to your beingness, the possibility to face and see the reality directly and deeply, and above all the possibility to see the wonder, the blessing, the mystery that life is. And when this becomes your understanding and awareness through the direct inquiry, it will naturally fill one with more gratitude, deep joy, a great sense of wonder. I'm only indicating all these things, not that you have to try to manage these feelings, but I'm only saying that when you allow it, these are the kind of byproducts. So, take it to heart and work with it as deeply as you can, as intensely as you can. And it is your innermost decision. Life is supporting you. Life supports us in realizing our innermost intentions. That is why you have to be very aware where your priorities are. Unless you clear yourself from all the other unconsciously gone about priorities and make it clear that you need to face the truth, you need to face the reality, you need to become familiar with that what you are, and not just pass time with any kind of explanations and excuses in the conditioned way, in the habitual way. Then you can allow it. That is when you also will realize in this initiative you take, life is supporting you. Because life is supporting everybody in different ways, in unique ways.